recording. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on this cold winter day. I want to start out with our typical entrepreneurial statistics. Little trivia question. Joyce is yelling at me to stay in frame with the camera. I take up the entire frame. So, today's theme is veteran-owned businesses. We actually are submitting a letter of interest to the Small Business Administration to pursue a veteran-focused entrepreneurship center that will actually broadcast to all the military sites around the world, the U.S. military, so wish us luck on that. But I thought it was appropriate on D-Day to give a veterans theme. So I could too. Who else is a veteran in the room? Thank you all for your service. I served in Germany in the 80s, so my biggest fear was having a hangover from German beer. But I salute everyone who went into action. Hey, how are you? Hi. So the theme is veteran-owned business. And I'm going to ask, what percentage of